Welcome to Strider Tree Gear. Glad you're here. On this continuation of our rigging series, I'm going to show you some negative rigging using a rigging ring sling and an arborist block, and kind of explain when you might want to use the rigging ring versus when you might want to use the arborist block or a pulley, vice versa. So hopefully you'll find this useful and interesting. Here we go. So often when I'm negative rigging, I will default to the simplest method possible while still being safe and efficient, and that is usually using just the rigging ring. So I've got a little demonstration about how we do that, but sometimes I want the extra protection of a rigging block. The rigging block has the advantage of distributing the load of the piece that we're trying to catch in a negative rigging scenario over the entirety of the rope. Now, this adds quite a bit of friction, and so what it does is the leg of rope that is on one side of this, the short leg of the rope that comes out of the ring and is tied off to the piece, experiences more load than the long leg of the rope between this and the ground because of the friction. In a scenario where my rope is going to be, near, and when I'm pushing the limits and the capacities of my rope, and I want to catch a piece quickly, maybe a bigger piece, maybe I've got really tight zone, I can't let it run, and I want to distribute the load of that impact across the length of the whole rope, then that's where I'll tend to use something like an arborist rigging block. It also has the advantage of being able to be attached midline, which is kind of nice too. In which case, I'll still set it up with one of these so I have a nice, clean, knotless system. I'll demonstrate that here. So I'll take my ultra sling, pass it around the tree, pick a actually, in this case, I'm gonna run the ultra sling through the ring itself and let that choke around the tree. And then I will attach my rigging block just below, usually as tightly as I can to that scenario, to the ring. Now I gotta go one below, okay. Take my rope, run it through there at the same time, close it up. I like these ISC blocks. Bang for the buck, they're great. They've got nice, smooth, rounded edges. They don't give my ropes any trouble. They don't snag. They're very simple, robust construction. I like them a lot. All right, so now that's essentially how my rope's gonna be routed. This long end's gonna go down to the porter wrap. For a piece of this size, we're looking at about 150 pounds. It won't even be one full wrap, probably a half wrap would be fine. If I wanted to stop it dead, then we probably do a full wrap. In this case, this will be plenty. I'm gonna get my rope out, make a little face cut, and then I'll tie on this piece. Notice I've got my work positioning lanyard just over the top of this, so that if something gets bound up or weird happens, I can still take it off. And I've got my safety backup line that allows me to belay to the ground underneath it, because I'm on a single rope system. I don't care if it gets caught underneath it, I can still belay out, it's gonna be fine. I'm gonna go ahead and make that face cut. Looks good to me. Now we'll take our line. Oop, looks like I gotta get this side. Oh no, yeah, it is this side. Nope, just kidding. I can't tell. I'm gonna go this side. Maybe we can do an old triangle and Travis trick. Oh no, didn't work for me. Okay. Now, this case, I've left a couple of little nubs, which are going to keep the rope from coming off with just a regular running bowline. In case those weren't there, I might probably more often put a half hitch on and then a running bowline above it. What that looks like is something like this. Half hitch, running bowline. That gives me a little bit more contact. It distributes the load away from this knot, which is the weak point in the whole system. Then I'll route this like so, so the rope is hanging right over the face cut and away from where my back cut's gonna be. So I've got that. Want to make sure there's no more slack in the system. I'm looking at that. I'm picturing where it's going to go, making sure everything's going to be clear. My climb line is still, or my positioning lanyard is tangled up in here a little bit, so I'm going to fix that here. There we go. Now I'm going to be ready to take this piece. So we'll signal to the groundie, have him put a wrap on the porta wrap, and we'll be ready to go. Alrighty, so we're going to take advantage of the weight distribution of the block, as far as, the force distribution of the block on the rope. We're pretty much going to stop this dead as if we had something, as if we were like close to a roof and we just don't have room to run. Groundie's on there, he's all ready, we're all set. I'm going to make my back cut and we'll send her home. One nice thing about negative rigging is that I don't have to be too concerned about the piece coming back and getting me, because the amount of slack in the system guarantees that it's actually going to hit the trunk below me. And that can be an advantage at times, especially if you've got an inexperienced ground crew. Here we go. Back cut. Looks like that's ready to go. Here we go. Boom. Woo! So it's still a little bit of a shock, a little bit of a ride. And ideally, in a perfect world, you can mitigate some of that by letting it run or things like that. But sometimes you can't. Sometimes you just got to go for the ride. In this case, I'm all safe and secure and happy, and that was golden. So wash, rinse, repeat. You can do that over and over again as you work your way down. And a lot of times, the last 6 to 8 feet, you can literally cut a chunk off and pass it down if you're in someplace super tight. Or you can drop individual rounds in a tight little space. There's ways to keep things nice and safe and controlled. But that's how you do it with the Arborist rigging block. So that was a little demo on how to use a ISC rigging block or Arborist rigging block in general for negative rigging scenarios on a spar. But that applies in a lot of types of situations, and certainly not just for working in pine trees. Hopefully you found that useful, and let me know if there's other things you'd like to see in the comments. I'm happy to respond and answer questions and provide you the most useful demonstrations for your guys' safety and learning. So thanks for joining me, and I'll catch you next time.